Welcome to the Digital Marketing Insights podcast, brought to you by Brightside Digital.
Hi everyone, welcome to the show. I'm delighted to say we have Ellen here today, who's a communications manager. Ellen, how you doing?
Hi, how are you doing? Thanks a million for having me on.
You're more than welcome, and thank you so much for doing this. Ellen, can we start by you telling everyone listening, watching, what your background is in your career today, please?
Yeah, absolutely. So at the moment, I'm the communications manager for a non-profit based in Ireland called the Shona Project. We work with teenage girls, building them up, filling them with confidence so they can go out and tackle the world, and just creating a stronger, confident army of young women for the next generation. So a part of my role is all things comms, dealing with all the schools, the stakeholders, but my background is digital marketing and social media management.
Brilliant. And to touch on that, what would you see as your main strength in digital at the moment? What do you do mainly to drive traffic, or what would you see your strength in digital is in general?
Yeah, so I love planning. I love drafting things. So it would definitely be strategy based. So we've only in the last couple of weeks actually rejigged our whole strategy to try and up engagement and all things that way. So it would definitely be building out plans for all the different social medias and even just a general marketing strategy in total.
And can you tell me a little bit about a campaign that you were really proud of, something that you might have excelled at or got really good results from?
Yeah, absolutely. So one of the big things with the Shona project, so I've been with them 3 years, so a lot of my experience would be based with them. We run an annual event in celebration of International Day of the Girl. So we get 2,000 girls in person to hear from female speakers, role models, and we do it online as well. So we've had up to 10 million potential reach on social media, like no marketing budget at all. So we've actually recently just won the European Citizens Prize for one of two organisations in Ireland for Shine Festival. Shine won the Irish Red Cross Humanitarian of the Year award. So our founder won the actual humanitarian, we won the Innovation for Change, and we've been nominated for two different social media awards as well for the whole social media campaign around Shine.
And obviously, your charity itself, it's so important. It needs to be highlighted more. How do you create content and get stories and publications in? Because marketing charities are very different to private business and stuff. Can you tell
Yeah.
the challenges and some of the things that you've done there?
Yeah, so we are really lucky that we have an army of people around us. So we have different stakeholders and different champions, is what we call them, that they want to get involved. So we have adults that have overcome things as they were when a teenager and they want to get involved. So they help us write content for the website. A lot of our content is user generated, which we're really, really lucky with. But on top of that, we do have up to 70 youth ambassadors working with us at the moment. So the younger girls would be secondary school girls, kind of aged 15 to 18, and they would heavily guide us on TikTok, especially because they're the audience we're trying to reach. Our primary audience across our social medias will always be the teenage girls. And again, they have stories to tell. We're all here and we've all overcome different challenges. And by learning from each other and learning each other's stories, that's how we make sure that no one else has to go through them alone. So again, a lot of user generated content comes from that.
Brilliant. And is there any softwares or work that you use daily that you refer to help with your work?
Yeah, we started off, we would use the Meta Business Suite for scheduling content. So we have 4 or 5 different social media platforms, and we were actually put in contact with later.com. So it's a scheduling tool, but you have your link in bio all built in with it. There's so much opportunity there. So we use that on a daily basis and they're really good. We reached out to the team and asked them, like, as a non-profit, do you support non-profits? So again, they're willing to like work with you to give you slight discount and things on like for social media management and everything like that. So it even just makes the link in bio is much slicker as well than what we had been previously using. We were using Linktree and Taplink previously, and it just got a little bit messy. We don't have graphic designers in-house, so we were trying to do it ourselves, and later just cleans it all up.
Later is my preference as well, so great for them to get a mention. And where would you normally go, Ellen, for new insights? Do you compare yourselves to other charities to see how they're building momentum as well? Tell me a little bit about how you understand and learn about the industry.
Yeah, it's all through, again, social media, looking at what we're all doing. So the charity space is such a community focused, again, a community focused community. So where we wouldn't have direct competitors or anything like that, we'd be leaning on other charities, other social enterprises who are in the social driven impact space, seeing what they're doing, seeing what's working for them. Sometimes social media, like the templates and things that they're using, we're like, hey, that's working really well for them. We might be able to use that as maybe a case study or a highlight focus. And it's just looping in with each other. But the whole community is so great that you could reach out to them and just say, hey, where did you get this idea? What are you using? And they're more than welcome to like chat you through anything that they're doing.
Yeah, that's incredible. And like, is that part of the secret as well to how some of these charities do really work together and they work on projects? Is there a line of communication? Like, would you know, let's say, the other digital people in neighboring charities and work that
Yeah,
way?
absolutely. So we're also a social enterprise. So the whole social enterprise sector in Ireland is quite new, it's quite fresh. But there's so many young people and young social enterprises coming up, and the only way they get established is through community. It's through working with one another. So like we scratch their back, they'll scratch ours. So like a prime example is we're very close with Two Into You, which is a campaign run by Women's Aid, and it's all about who's their connections. Their connection could work with us on campaigns. Our connections can work with them on campaigns. And it's about building each other up, because at the end of the day, you're all going for the same focus. You're not trying to fight for market share. You're all trying to get towards a common goal, which is something completely different than a revenue focused business.
You mentioned there before around having these champions and the user generated content. How do you go about storing and sorting that kind of content? Because later is obviously great for scheduling again externally, but how do you go about like dealing with all this kind of content?
Yeah, we have, say, a template. So we have a content calendar template that we kind of know the type of content we're working with each week, each day of the week for what platform. So we would be able to reach out to our community, out to our ambassadors and say, hey, we need a TikTok on this content. Can anyone have time to put it together to send it on to us? Or can we get maybe 5 clips from 5 different girls in the community, send it on to us? And we just work through the content calendar like bit by bit, content piece by content piece, and that's how we build it. So we don't have huge banks of information. Where we have articles we post twice a week on our website as well, that might be banked, and we just store that internally on files, and we can like repurpose it and tag people when we're using it. But user generated content is just as it comes in, we use it because it's fresh in that person's mind. It's usually as a reaction to either a piece of news that's gone out or an event we're running or a campaign we're running. So there's no point in storing it. We just use it straight away.
Brilliant, brilliant. And looking at the digital industry as a whole, is there anything that you in particular are keeping an eye on? Anything that could really help your space, your work that you're excited about?
Yeah, I think everyone might be, it's probably a very common one. It's AI. It's keeping an eye on where it's going, how can we move it in. Like, I'm a one person comms team. We have a part time marketing content creator supporting us, but it's just the two of us. We're only a 3-person team, and that third person's only come on in the last month or so. So it's all about how can I make my job that bit easier so I can focus on other things as well. So it's definitely just keeping an eye, and yeah.
I suppose that's something I've never thought about with AI is obviously the whole point of AI is everyone can do more work technically. It's not it's going to replace our jobs, but it's giving you the tools to create several Instagram posts for you to choose from in seconds rather than it was taking a lot of time. So it's a time saver, but also technically it's kind of like a team expander. Like you're getting more members of your team, and you're being able to, like for the example, this show, I use video, which exports out TikToks and Reels and YouTube Shorts in seconds. It will give me about 13 to, it's been as high as 20 snippets of Reels for my platforms. And like before, it would have been a lot of time with me in Premiere Pro and stuff. So my point to you is, are you finding AI in the whole, let's talk about the industry as a whole, do you think this is an asset for charities to be like, your team members you already have, you're actually technically a team of 10 now because we have this and this platform?
Yeah, and that is a thing. So the non-profit sector, the charity sector, the social enterprise sector, you're overworked, but it's because you're passion driven and you're just trying to do the work of maybe 3 or 4 people. Like it's all small teams when you start out. So have an AI, so say ChatGPT is a huge help to us because it gives us ideas of trending topics. It's not that we put in whatever prompt we give it and then we copy and paste and that's our content. It just gives us a little bit of, when you're hitting a brick wall for content creation ideas, it steers us a little bit, but it's also keeping us relevant. And what's the audience searching for on Google? How are they doing it? What do they want to see? I think that video editing as well is that Get Munch or Munch? Is that what you use?
Video is the one I use, but there's so many out there.
We have one as well. Yeah. That does the exact same one. Again, very supportive discount there for the non-profit. Because our Shine Festival produced last year was 141 different videos. So there were pre-recorded interviews, but then there was live ones from the event, and we're still getting content out of it because we're able to use the likes of that AI tool that'll chop everything up into small trending topics for us, give us caption suggestions, say, hey, this is a trending topic, it's being used, and it's so helpful for us. It's cut down like hours and hours of work of trying to clip through 20-minute videos to try and get little small snippets that you edit down again.
So Ellen, you mentioned earlier that you were looking at kind of resorting and tweaking the content strategy. Can you elaborate a little bit about how you were going about doing that and why?
Yeah, so we were finding that our engagement rates were falling, our following was falling, or it was just getting a little stagnant. And what we were doing was, because of limited capacity, limited timing, really, we were just cross-posting the same content on every channel, and we weren't utilising that the different social media channels that we have different audiences on it. So Facebook's obviously, you have your mammies are on your Facebook. Twitter and LinkedIn would be our corporates, would be journalists, things like that. And then Instagram and TikTok would have our girls. So we took a step back, took a week or two, and kind of said, what's working, what's not working, where are people, what content are they looking at, and built out a new strategy. So Twitter, carousel posts obviously do not work on Twitter because no one really flicks through carousel posts. So we broke them down into threads, and that started working. Facebook, we started, instead of sharing content that was specifically for girls that we were relating to, we were sharing it and tweaking it slightly, that it's, as a parent, here's how you could support your daughter. And it just started taking off. We started looping in with our girls, our ambassadors, who would be 14 to 18, and just asking them, going, hey, will you sense check this TikTok for us? And them coming back being like, yeah, your TikTok looks like it's being run by an old person, so you need to fix that. And it was just integrating all those changes into a new strategy and being willing to change it quickly, just constantly monitoring analytics, seeing where you're going, seeing how it's performing. If it's not performing right, having a plan B to swap in, but having a plan C, D, E, all the way down to the end of the alphabet, and just being ready and able to switch it out to get your ideal template for the time being.
Incredible. Yeah, I love the diligence and the sorting out and the idea to even do that. How are the initial results? Are you very happy with how it's going?
Absolutely, it's going really, really well. So we've seen our Instagram has jumped again in followers, so it's growing again. Our TikTok is starting to grow, it's starting to take off. We're getting more engagement. That's coming up again as well. And then our newsletter is growing out as well, which was really, really great. So it's just utilising all the platforms to the best of their ability. So it's brilliant to see it changing. So we'll do another little review in a little while time as well.
Love it. No, I'm delighted to hear that. And Ellen, I unfortunately have to ask you the last question on the show, which I always end the show asking: if you could bottle up one personality trait that you have yourself that you could pass on to others, what would it be?
I think in the digital marketing space and social media, you have to be so resilient. And you have to be able to take a knock on your pride and just realize something that you might put 5 minutes into could go viral, and there's no reason to it. And you could put all your effort into trying to figure out why it went, and there's no reason. And you could put 6 months of work into something and it falls flat on its face. But it's being able to go, right, dust yourself off. How do we change it? How do we change it now so we can get the most of it? So just being resilient on absolutely every aspect that you can.
Love it. And Ellen, if anyone wants to see your work or check you out or even reach out to yourself, how can they find you?
Yeah, so I'm just on LinkedIn. It's Ellen Conway, and you'll see like the Shona project is pride and place on that. But you can also get me on my work email. It's just ellen@shona.ie, and I'd be more than happy to help anyone out or chat anything through.
Thank you so much for being such a wonderful guest. Thank you everyone for watching, listening, and everything else.
Thank you.